many people had their panties in a Bundchen. And that is, of course, a mention to Gisele Bundchen. And rightly so, according to, if anything we were to take as to what was planned for, I'm getting this shaking head from everyone around because it was a pretty bad joke. But according to many reports, there was a poor skit planned in the opening ceremony. So according to details, we can look into it further, which I don't think it would have went over very well, so let's take a look. Witnesses who were present for the Sunday dress rehearsal first sparked the rumours. According to the newspaper Folha do S, Paolo Bundchen walks out into the stadium to the tune of The Girl from Ipanema before she is robbed by a black boy in simple clothes. Come on. So, okay. And so this is, by the way, Fernando Meirelles, who is a famous director who is going to be directing the Olympics opening ceremony. And then he actually responded to this and said that it was basically taken out of context. Either way, I don't know if it's going to go down. It would have went down as well. It was a gag that was not funny, so we cut it, he said. There was nothing that looked like a robbery in the scene except 2 security guards chasing after a vendor. They are 3 professional clowns.
I look at this pretty much as a joke that they wanted to make that just didn't translate well, and then word gets out and of course gets a little bit taken out of context. Now regardless, should the joke have been putting in the first place? No. Did it happen? Also no. It's just one of those things where I love the opening ceremony. I could talk about opening ceremonies for days. Whether you want to listen to me or not, that's up to you guys. Go back to 2008 in Beijing Olympics. They had the unbelievable drumline thing, and it lights up, and everyone goes crazy. And then all of a sudden, there's a bunch of bins randomly laid out there, and people are just popping out of the bins, and you have no idea what it means, what the symbolism is. You can't possibly appease 50, 60, 70, 80 different cultures, countries, nations, friends, family, athletes that are there in one 8-minute opening ceremony. However, I really am trusting Fernando Meirelles, and this is going to be up right before the opening ceremony actually happens, because the movies he's directed include Ciudad de Dios, which is City of God, which is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It's on Netflix. If you guys have Netflix accounts, I encourage you to watch it. But he said himself at the end of that Washington Post article, I am prepared for the haters.
Yeah.
Because he is a risk taker. In his movies, he takes risks. I am sure he's going to have an opening ceremony to remember. It's just one of those things where it's in America, we're obsessed with the Super Bowl halftime show. Oh, it's an impossible show to perform. Only a handful of people have done it well, like Katy Perry, or Prince. And now you have the opening ceremony happens once every 4 years for the Summer Olympics, and it is a big, big project. So when word gets out, like this, of this junk being in there, could you imagine if just in the middle of this, you have supermodel Gisele Bundchen, pride of American Victoria's Secret modeling, and mother to future great NFL players, Tom Brady's kids, getting robbed by a little black child from, I guess they were saying at one point, from a slum in Rio de Janeiro.
It's just, it would be...
Are you serious, Olympics? Come on! Everything else is going wrong!
And the thing is about this is that, as you mentioned, in the past, you basically have free reign. The weirder, the better in Olympic ceremonies. You could be insane, do all the magnificent spectacles that each culture beholds and bring it into one and be unified. There's a small checklist of things that you shouldn't touch on, right? Racism, terrorism, countries' problems financially, countries' problems economically.
Drinking the water.
Unfortunately for Brazil, that box is broader now because of all the problems they face. But what Meirelles is saying here, which is actually kind of interesting, is a director like this, which I would like to see, is maybe you tackle some of those theories. Maybe you show a country unified with how much turmoil it's been through, because we're being honest, it's been disastrous on the build-up.
Okay, you actually made a really good point, and not that I want to change my entire point of view on this one, but if that did happen, right, first of all, it's not like that's something that doesn't happen on the streets of Rio de Janeiro, not just with black children, whatever race is robbing people. It happens across the world. I'm not trying to typify one specific kid from a slum. But it would have been a little interesting if he did that, because maybe it's just showing parts of the dark underbelly of Rio, and I'm sure there's parts of this that are going to show the bright, lively culture of Rio altogether. Granted, if it did go down, holy effing hell, would that have been destroyed. Every media politician, every media outlet would have picked it up and ran probably a scathing headline against it on something that maybe we aren't understanding where he was coming from. However, the Olympic opening ceremony. Nobody understands what it means, Francis.
No, they don't.
It's provocative. It gets the people
So
going.
I just got an idea. Do you know what I would have liked to see? I'd like to see someone in a suit standing next to Gisele, right? And they get a handful of cash, and then they hand it down to the next in line, who are potentially politicians, and then they hand it round to everyone. This pile of cash is traveling around the whole ceremony, and it goes by the black kid who's involved in the slums, and it just launches it over his head. They just launch the cash over because they don't spend any money on trying to solve out any of the favelas. So they don't see any of that cash. And then you know where it ends up? Right back to the very start, one big circle where the same person who's got the committee right there, manages the Olympic committee, gets the money back in his hands, because that's what it's all about. That would be an important message. I think that would be a really strong message. I think I would tune in. I don't care if I would get hate for proposing that idea or executing that idea. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do with the platform in front of you, and someone like Mary Ellis would be interested.
I wouldn't miss the opening ceremony of the Olympics for anything.
I know, it's going to be fun.
Anything.
But either way, aside from those little pessimistic thoughts, I'm sure it's going to be magnificent. I'm sure it's going to be breathtaking, because, as Jason rightfully mentioned in all of our Olympics clips, as soon as the torch is lit, the thoughts and all the controversy that we thought of going forward into this tournament just goes away.
Bye-bye.
We just pan the camera out, and we just kind of show all the nice and all bright, shiny parts of
The
it.
second the medals start going out.
And we go to our in-depth correspondence from Adrian Lima, Alessandro Ambrosia, and Ryan
Food and culture.
Seacrest.
I can't wait to learn a lot about food and culture from those two.
I know, it's
Really,
going to be interesting.
I'm really excited. But here's the moral of the story going into this. Enjoy the opening ceremony. Have fun with it. I can't wait to check Twitter later. I'll be going off because, God, these things are great. On top of that, enjoy the Olympics. We're going to bring you coverage throughout the Olympics throughout the next, 17 days?
Yep.
But don't forget, and I'm always going to link these back in the description. I usually put a clip that goes with the clip in a way. We've done a lot of coverage on everything that's been wrong with Rio Olympics so far. Just don't forget it the second the medals go out and all the joy of the Olympics has. Keep it balanced. Keep it balanced. Like, favorite, subscribe. What would your Olympics opening ceremony be like?
If anyone wants to put forward funding to execute my suggestion of it, then we could talk about that.
We should have put our own TYT Olympics.
We should have.
Beer
Beer
Olympics. Beer Olympics.
We hang out with each other.
Yeah, we do. Jesus.